Hi friends, it's Terry Stewart, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, located in the U.S. in Central Maryland. Welcome to the April 2026 Woohoo Weekend event. I have a fun fold for you today that I'm excited to share. Let's get started. My project today features the Woolly Friends Punch Bundle. So this is an online exclusive, and I've used it several times and I just am really having a lot of fun with it. You can stamp your woolly friend standing or jumping. You can color the body in. There's his head you can punch out, the bow or ribbon that you can punch out. You can punch out the standing body if you would like, and then the bell. And along with that, there's some other images. These flower images, we'll be using that today, and it's a two-step stamping process. You can stamp the outline and then stamp the flower color and the leaf color. There's a little butterfly here, some grass, we're not using that. And then there's several really cute sentiments. You make me happy. Isn't that adorable? Adorable. And you're simply fabulous. Today I'm going to be using the Sending Flowers and Sunshine. And of course, Welcome Cutie if you need a baby card. So very versatile. And then the Sheep Builder Punch, or the Woolly Friends Builder Punch. And this is where you can punch out the body, the head, the bow, and the bell. And we'll be doing that today. So let me show you my fun fold card. Here is the sample, and this is a bridge card. So you see I've have punched out the head of the sheep, the bow for around her neck, and then that's the inside. And there's the flowers where we had done two-step stamping. I stamped the outline and then the color of the flowers and the leaves. There's that little butterfly I mentioned, and the Sending Flowers and Sunshine. So this is a very simple card to make, even though it is a fun fold. So let me adjust some things here and we can get started. So these are the supplies I'll be using today. I need a scrap of basic white, and that's to punch the head and the bow. I have 2 pieces of DSP, and this is from the Garden Poetry DSP pack. That's also an online exclusive. I have a piece of basic white that's 2 3/4 by 4 inches, or for my metric friends. Well, let me give the imperial and then I'll go back and I'll talk about the metric. And then we have a piece of basic white that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and a piece of Calypso quarter. It's a half sheet of cardstock, and I'll be showing you how to score and cut this to make the bridge fold. Now this is a Woohoo Weekend event, and there is a PDF that goes with it, so each of the demonstrators who are participating have already figured out the imperial measurements as well as the metric measurements, and all you have to do is ask the demonstrator who invited you to this group for that PDF, and she'd be happy to mail it to you. So I'm not going to give the metric right now because you can get that PDF. I will talk about the metric when I'm doing the cutting, just so it makes a little bit more sense. So let me put my supplies to the side, put my card over here, and then bring in my paper trimmer. So as I said, this is a half sheet of Calypso coral. So it is, I'm going to score it in half at 4 1/4, and using my scoring blade. So I have the left edge at 4 1/4, and for my metric friends, that would be at 10.5 centimeters. So we're going to score it, and then we're going to cut it. So now I'm going to bring in my cutting blade, and if you notice, the cutting blade has a notch on either side, so you can line that up. So I'm going to kind of put it in the middle, keeping that left edge at 4 1/4 or 10.5 centimeters, I'm going to push my cutting blade up to the 1 1/4 inch mark. I think I've gotten there. And then I'm going to bring it down to the 4 1/4 inch mark. And for my metric friends, you're going to cut between 3 centimeters, so you're going to push it up to 3 centimeters and then bring it down to 12 centimeters. So your slice is between 3 centimeters and 12 centimeters. My imperial friends, you're slicing between 1 1/4 inches to 4 1/4 inches. So now we have this nice slice in here, I think you can see. And then we're going to rotate it. So we did the slice with the long edge at the top. We're going to rotate it, and I'm going to move my trimmer up so you can see here at the bottom. So now I'm going to put the long edge at 1 1/4, and my metric friends, you would put it at 3 centimeters. And bring the cutting blade down all the way off. And now I'm at 1 1/4 on the left edge, and I'm going to slice all the way up to the score line. And I think I'm there. Yes. And now I'm going to slide my cardstock to the 4 1/4 mark, or 12 centimeters. And you should also see on, so that's on the left side. I don't know if you can see over here on the right, but the right edge should be at 1 1/4. If you're at 4 1/4 on this way, you've lined it up at 1 1/4 on the left side. Anyway, again, with my cutter at the bottom, my cutting blade, I'm gonna push it all the way up to that score line. And I think I just have a smidge to go. There, all right. And now this piece has been cut all the way out. And we're gonna save this. This is gonna become our focal point piece. So save the piece that you've just cut out. And so you can see how we're going to fold those flaps down, and then this piece will lay right on top of that. And that makes our bridge card. So now we can do some stamping. So let me set my bridge base to the side, and let's do some stamping. So this is the this piece where we're going to stamp our sheep, our sentiment flowers, and our butterfly. Now, in the past, I would have used Memento ink. Memento ink is retiring. This is the new product that is replacing it, and it will be available in the new catalog starting in May. It's a basic black hybrid ink. What it means is this ink does two things. One, it's a permanent ink, like you would have used StazOn, and the other part of it is the ink that you can use for blends. So in the past, if you were watercoloring, you would use StazOn. If you're using blends, you would use Memento ink. This pad does both. So it's replacing two pads in one. So that's why I'm showing it to you. So you get a sneak peek of this hybrid ink. Now to open it, you kind of squeeze the bottom and pull the top from the base. There you go. Let's stamp our sentiment first, because I want to line up my flowers on top of it. Now this ink, because it is a hybrid, it will permanently stain your stamps, but it will not impact how they stamp. They will just have the black ink on them permanently, which is fine. We don't mind staining of stamps. And so I'm going to put that sentiment down here on the left and give that a nice little press. Great. I'm going to stamp the outline of the flowers next. So let me ink that up. And this image is going right above those words. Give that a little press. And now for our butterfly. It's a little swinging by, buzzing by. I guess butterflies don't buzz, they float by, right? So it's going to be flying by. So we'll put that here at the top. And now we're going to stamp the body of our sheep. Since we have everything lined up on the left, we know that there's enough room. So let me ink up my stamp and put my sheep body over here on the right. I think that looks great. Very nice. Now I did notice I didn't get his feet down here, but this is a photopolymer stamp, so I should be able to look through and line my image up so I can re-stamp it. And I'll just give it an extra push at the bottom where the feet are, and perfect. Now I have my chamois off to the side and I am wiping these stamps off, but you will notice that that ink is has stained where the image touches the ink pad. As I said, it does not impact at all the performance of your stamps once they are stained. Now I'm going to stamp the sheep head and the bow. And when you're using this builder punch, and you're going to be putting your cardstock in from the back and lining up so you can punch. So I'm going to purposely punch or stamp my image on the left side, right side up, this way, so I can punch my sheep's head out. So let me ink this up, stamp it on the left side of the paper. Oh, that didn't turn out so well. Let's try this over. So I'm going to ink this up really well. Stamp it on the left side. 2, 3. Much better, much better. And for the bow is down here and it's upside down. So I'm going to come in from the left, from the right to the bottom, and I'm put my bow upside down. So let's stamp the bow. This is the outline of the bow. Stamp that, and kind of was at an angle. There we go. And I think that is all the basic black ink we need. I'm gonna close this up and put that to the side. Now we can do some of our coloring ink, two-step stamping. So starting with Calypso Coral and this bow, I've put the 2 images on this tiny little block. So I just stamped the outline. Now I'm going to stamp the solid color, and I'm going with Calypso Coral, and then I can look through my stamp and put the color right on top of the outline. Perfect. Okay. The next color I'm going to use is Flirty Flamingo, and that is for the flowers. So this is the 2-step stamping process. We stamp the outline, and now we're going to stamp the flower color. Again, it's photopolymer, so I can look through and line up the color on top of that outline. Perfect. And the last stamp ink pad is Granny Apple Green, and that's for the leaves on those flowers. And you can do all 4 leaves with one go. So look through the photopolymer, make sure your images is right over, stamp down. It looks like I'm off a little bit, but it's fine. It works. Very, very cute. Now I want to use some blends. Now this is the Calypso Coral Light blend, and I'm going to use the bullet end. It's a little tight, and color in this butterfly. I'm going to use the Smoky Slate, and this is the light Smoky Slate. I'm just going to highlight these accent marks. And I'm kind of doing a little bit outside the lines. I really wanted to make that stand out. And then I'm going to give him some Smoky Slate hair, a little poof of Smoky Slate hair. And this is a combo. This is SU 700. It's the medium light combo, and I'll show you. I'm going to do a brief catalog tour after my presentation so you can see where these are in the annual catalog. So I'm going to give it a little blush and cut color to the ears. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I wanted to anchor the image, so I'm using my light balmy blue blends, and I'm going to just go around the outside of the image. This creates a shadow, and that shadow gives the image some depth. And I'm not being perfect by any means. I'm just going around the outside, just outside the image. And then using the brush tip, I'm going to create a shadow at the bottom. And again, nothing perfect, just a shadow. All right, and now we are ready to punch out. So here's my Sheep Woolly Friends Builder punch. I'm going to put this sheep head in from the right and just line it up in there. There we go. There's our sheep. And then for this bow, because it's upside down, it fits right inside. There we go. Okay, it's our two images. Oh, that's just a blank. Put that to the side. All right, so let's start assembling. Bring out my card base. And I'll layer that on top. So this is a fairly simple fun fold, I think, with a little bit of a wow factor to it. I'd love to see what you create. I am a big fan of fun folds. So this gets a layer, so. And then for our card base, you might have a little bit of lift from where the cutting blade is. I just want to crisp up that score line, so. And then for the inside, we have our basic white. Now I did not stamp anything because if you've followed me for a while, you know that I like to personalize cards. So I usually do not stamp anything on the inside because when I go to mail it, I want to personalize it with a note to fit the person and the situation I'm sending it for. So now we can bring in our DSP, and this is a Garden Poetry pack of paper. That's an online exclusive, and it has various colors. This has watercolor, like you can see here in the background. There's ombre. It's wonderful. I really have been enjoying the versatility of that paper and the bundle itself, stamp set. And it's a hybrid set that comes with an embossing folder that also you can do some die cutting with. Yeah. Check that out. The online exclusives are really great stuff. The Woolly Friends is an online exclusive. The Garden Poetry is an online exclusive. So now we're going to glue on our piece, the bridge piece. So it was cut out like this. Now we're going to rotate it and glue it down. And the trick here is you only want glue on the right side and the left side. And you don't want to glue your card shut. So I'm going to lay my piece out to dry fit it. Just put some glue on the left side, making sure to stay all away from that center. There we go. And now flip it over and then center it right, left, top, bottom. I think this looks centered. Oops. There we go. And then I give it a good push. And then we open it. Oh. Somewhere there glue has escaped. Okay, so I think this is where we want to be. Yeah, I'm going to use my bone folder. And there is a little bit of glue, but I can deal with that. So this is my embossing buddy. You get this in the embossing additions kit. And if you just dab that right where the glue is, the powder takes the sticky out of the glue. So there. I want to put some up here too. That way it's not going to stick shut. All right. Now let's add our bow and our Woolly Friend head. And to do that, I'm going to use dimensionals. So for the head, I'm going to use one large dimensional at the top to secure his head. And then for the bow, I'm going to use a mini dimensional right in the center of that bow. And here we go. So the head is going to be like so, and it's just going to be stuck down with this dimensional at the top, which leaves room for the bow underneath. That looks great. And then the bow, I'm going to remove this cover and just tuck that right underneath his chin, like so. There we go. And there you have the Woolly Friends bridge card. So as I promised, here's a very quick catalog tour. Now this is the annual catalog that is ending at the end of April. And the new catalog starts like May 5th, I think. Anyway, here we go. Page 103. This is where you can find your paper trimmer that allows you to slice there's a measurement of paper trimmer, page 103, yes. And then the other thing is, I talked about the blends that I use, the medium light blends for the little blushy cheeks. That's on page 129 down here, the medium light. And then we go back to the back, And this is where we find our basic white cardstock. And that's on page 137, and on page 138, here we have the Calypso Coral cardstock, the Calypso Coral ink pad, the Balmy Blue blends, a Granny Apple Green ink pad. What other colors do we use? Oh, Smoky Slate is over here. So for those blends on page 139. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of the Woohoo Weekend. Again, get with the demonstrator who invited you and ask for that PDF of all the projects, supply lists, cutting measurements, links to videos, very informative PDF, and it's free. Just ask for it. Remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified the next time I bring you another fun project. Remember, stamping is fun. Bye.